All right, welcome to Mudflood Vacations with Squint and Quarantino on the Squint and Quarantino channel. This vacation is going down to Mexico City, where I use Google Earth to check out some of these spots that tourists go to, but I like to try and find different places after looking into some of this beautiful stuff. Can we stop here? And let's check out Mexico City. Is densely populated, high-altitude capital of Mexico. It's known for the Templo Mayor, a 13th century Aztec temple, the Baraque Cathedral Metropolitana de Mexico of the Spanish conquistadors, and the Palacio Nacional, which houses historic murals by Diego Rivera. All of these are situated in and around the Plaza de la Constitucion, the massive main square, also known as Zocalo. And let's move on from there. Oh, let's stop real quick. Let me just back up to this. People height. And people height. Okay, each floor is a little bit shorter. Yet, this is, once again, I hear the term used in abundance. For probably the population when the conquistadors decided to build this, and a lot of this architecture is so familiar in certain ways. They got a lot of artisans here in Mexico to do some amazing work that is reminiscent to Old World America, North America, and Asia, European and Asian, all over. This is just wanted to look at this. Look at the size of this organ that's inside this cathedral. Remember what they say, why is it called an organ and why is it in a cathedral? It said the resonance and the sound is to cure you of ailments and salvation. It's part of it. It's resonance and sound. This is a model of it, and it's really neat. Let's go back for a sec, if you don't mind. You go around outside, you can stay inside where it's nice and cool and check it out. So, let's stop. If you look at the outside, it shows signs definitely of mud flooding. It's half underground, and even in their rendition, they're showing windows half underground. Why did every civilization go, we need to build half the room and half the window underground? Okay, light up the basement. And seems like a good way to fill the basement up with water. All right. It's located. This here is what we were looking at. And this gentleman right here. Espacio Escultórico was the brainchild of sculptor Federico Silva, and it was inaugurated. All right, the reason why this is important to me is I was looking for who built it, who sculpted it, who built it, and it says sculptor, him. Now, a sculptor's different than a concrete guy. I had for years, when I started out in construction, I worked, my father-in-law was a concrete contractor. Long story short, we only did a couple houses which were called a monolithic slab, meaning the whole slab was tied together. The elevation was 12 foot lower than another area, say the garage was lower than the living room, so 12 foot deeper, but it wasn't two separate buildings. It was actually poured monolithically. And believe me, not a lot of residential guys like doing that because it requires a ton of form work, building forms. So you can imagine what this thing we about to look at, how much forms had to be built to do this monolithically, or it says it's in two parts, the ring and then the stuff on top. If these giant geometrical shapes were on top, they're perfect and they haven't moved, and they look like a polymer stone also. So let's move on. Oop, sorry about that, guys. And this is it. So let's move on to the next. Our next, that was last week. I'm going to go backwards to files. And let's go here. Alright, welcome to Mudflood Vacation. This is headed down to Mexico City. I was on Google Earth and just traveling around looking at different deals, and I touched on this, and it turns out to be hidden architecture. Like I thought, it was definitely interesting, so I looked into it. Came across this, Espacio Escultórico UNAM, University of Mexico. I wanted to find out who made it and who constructed it, and this gentleman's name keeps coming up, and we'll look into him in a sec. Let's see what's going on here. It says inaugurated. Alright, I'm going to have to look that up, what that means, because hopefully it means constructed. April 23rd, 1979, this emblematic space was created by 6 artists. Okay, but he gets most of the credit. And it said it was, right here, was created, but it doesn't say it was constructed by him. It's created by him. Okay. It was an artistic expression after going through the glorious times of muralism. See, he was known for his paintings, and he's got some hanging around this university. He does some neat stuff in concrete, but you can tell this is an older structure than even him. But let's keep going on. University to participate and become part of it. Hispanic, Mexican artists. If any of the artists' work that make this team does not survive them, the sculptural space, because of its collectivism and anonymity, will endure as the most important collective attempt at public art in recent years, the participants then said. Basically, we're not telling you anything about it, and it's obscure already. And some of the artwork that's in there is nowhere near this precise or geometrically intense. And in the words of John Levi, he says, looking very much like a machine or a gear, but that's just what it looks like, and they're calling it art. And this is the top of a volcano. There's a petrified lava field that says it's surrounded. Has some funny things it says here. Located in the area University Cultural Center, this complex is a representation of the cosmos with pre-Hispanic references, surrounded by Pedregal de San Angel Ecological Reserve. Pedregal, okay. It is one of the first works of what is now called land art that one can be seen from above, and that is part of the configuration of our planet. Now, it's one of our first works. Everything they say is so misleading, because what about the, Nazca lines? That was a long time ago. How about earthworks in North America? Heck, starports, you name it. This is not even close to being the first, but anyway, let's keep going. Okay. Now we get to look at it. It's one of the first works, land art. This was the prints of it, the planning of it. apparently Blanta. I noticed this is really neat, how it goes underground, and you don't see this edge at all yet. They must have dug into the lava itself. Okay, it's a monumental space, surface, and natural terrain that is made of two pieces. Platform and a series of geometric features, 64 modular triangles with rectangular base. In a height of 4 meters, the outer diameter of the platform is 120 meters, while in inner area measures 92.78. All these numbers mean a lot. 4 meters right there is over 12 foot, probably about 13 foot tall. 64 of them. I mean, you do the math. Each one takes a ton of concrete, and by what it looks like, I would say, a geopolymer, which they had already. The 6 sculptors met for 6 months. They chose a site in a place that was barely open to university students and society, and they proposed to do something simple but powerful. A huge circular ring contained with breakstroke, and at the center the lava from the Untitled volcano, thus maintaining strength from the eruption of around 2,000 years ago. Yeah, that's what you do. You're containing the strength of a volcano with... I just don't get it. This is interesting. The work is 64 modules separated by the same distance except for a larger separation in 4 points, north, south, east, and west, was notorious at the time. Wait, except for a larger separation in 4 points showing a compass, and it was notorious at the time. Yet, once again, stop. What about Stonehenge? Way longer ago? North, south, east, and west? How many places? Alright, anyway, furthermore, only one access was built with tiles that were also designed by the artist. Now, these tiles are some weird, code, but they don't look anything like this. It is way newer, more like in the 70s. This is way older. I don't care what anybody says. 80s. In 1979, the participating artist already had a long career, which continued with great significance. At that time, they were already important, and they continued to demonstrate their quality. Its resonance in Mexican art and on an international scale. Yet no one knows this. It's a hidden. But these are famous. But this is hidden. But this is famous. But don't make sense. Once again, Mudflood finding something that doesn't make sense. In the early days of the sculpture space, concerts were offered because they discovered that the lava has acoustic qualities. Go figure, you're discovering this little bit out with me on this investigation. Of course it does. So what does this mean? What are they here for? Oh my goodness, I'm loving this. Next to the space and to one side of the National Library and the newspaper library building, a sculpture walk was later created, made up of works by the artists themselves, the Serpents of Pedregal and Ocho Conejo by Silva, Avedos by Jerusua Godel from Escobedo, Godel by Sebastian, and Quetzalcoatl, the bird serpent, bearded bird serpent. Okay, Corona de Pedregal. We're just going to move on from there. You see all the stuff, but he really don't say who built this. He planned it, and this, that, and the other, and there's some other stuff around here to look at. Hidden architecture. Hidden, famous people hiding this stuff. Interesting, very interesting. Yeah, concrete, but is it built on top of something else? I mean, interesting stuff here. I don't understand it. Might not be interesting to you, but they're not giving me a good answer other than just art, hiding art. And we'll move on from there. see what else I can figure out with this. Cool. Alright, so I know that was a little long, but a lot of interesting detail of no detail. So, what does it all mean? I don't know. But what did inaugurate mean? To make a formal beginning of, initiate, commence, to begin, to induct into office with formal ceremonies, to introduce into public use, using a ceremony. So it doesn't say it was constructed, it was put into use, just like inaugurate a president when was he already presidential? He was here already, and then you turn him into a president. So, yeah, there you go on that. Let's see. Who was Federico Silva?
According to Mutual Art, Federico Silva is a Mexican post-war and contemporary artist who was born in 1923.
All right. We got him as a sculptor, and let's see what we got here. Well, this is lava, and acoustic lava, and what I was saying about monolithically, the forms that you would have to make, it's either one at a time and placed perfectly, or you did it all at once. Well, obviously the pedestal was one piece, and then the ring of monuments here were separate, and they are on your north, south, east, and west compass. And it was holding in the energy of a volcano. Was the ring already here? And who knows? This is really interesting. They just don't. Hopefully, I can find find pictures of it being constructed, but I haven't yet. And not a lot, once again, of explanation for it. So there you go. Let's move on. All right. Well, like I said, I'm going to wrap this one up, and hopefully I can find, there's Mexico City in the back, and look at that stonework underneath to hold this up, a retaining wall. It looks like cinder block material. It's really interesting stuff. Guys, I'm going to leave this one as it is and hopefully find some pictures, and if I do, I'll post them, of the construction of this. That way we can just settle this once and for all. This guy went up on a mountain with a bunch of people or by himself and poured a bunch of concrete back in the 80s without anyone knowing. All right, you have a wonderful day. Hopefully you like, subscribe. Forgive me, I'm still working on my abilities to make some of these videos without my iPhone. So in another week or two I'll have it and a lot better editing. Have a wonderful day. Like, subscribe, maybe give a comment, and have a wonderful day till the next installment. Bye.